Excellent.
Okay, welcome to everybody who is going to be seeing this, whether it's on YouTube or somewhere else. My name is Stacy Dyson. I am the head of Tesoro, which is an international women's poetry network. I am going to introduce this artist the way I introduce all of our artists. We are unbelievably blessed to have on the mic today Genevieve Ray. I apologize for a late start, whoever is seeing this. England is having, has switched time zones. America switching time zones. It's just one of those things. We're not going to worry about that. We're just going to go ahead and say, "Hey, babe, how you doing?"
Good, thank you. How are you?
Okay. I am not going to bother with your bio. I never do. I let the artists introduce themselves. So tell us who you are.
Sure. So hive to Tesoro sisters, new and old, and everyone else who's catching up. We also have a wonderful sister of a sister, of my friend Ashley, with wonderful Amanda here. Thank you for being here, Amanda. So yeah, me, how to explain. So I started this journey almost 15 years ago on the theatre scene. That was the thing I was doing, and it was not earning me lots of money, but it was causing me a lot of debt. I stopped. I had a moment where it all went a bit leftwards, and then pandemic happened, and I found this. I'd never heard of spoken word particularly before. What I was aware of was the whole beret wearing, clicking your fingers, and smoking a nice, very thin cigarette. But I was writing anyway. I was always writing. There was no start to when just Gen writing. I just was writing different things. Poetry allowed me to, one, get things done that were finished. Two, give me an opportunity to really express it in a way that was seemed a bit more natural to how I actually felt. I wasn't having to try and create characters that didn't feel completely full. I wasn't trying to explain storylines I didn't have the full thing for. I could say everything I wanted to say in about a page and a half, and I could make it realistic. I could make it from the heart. I could say lots of things. So start posting, put up a post about the passing of George Floyd, and it kind of went. I'd never seen somebody like in my life. And then suddenly every one of our community finds me. From there, I get performances and everything I've done with the theatre, everything I've done with cultural art, history, all these other things suddenly all come in. And it's almost like it comes together and it comes home. And then I meet this wonderful lady of Stacey. And we're both doing performances for Black History Month. So the circle goes around. Now at a point where I've just been signed to a publisher, and we've been talking lightly this morning about what works for this and what works for that, and which poems they like. Stacey was actually integral in making the edit for that book, and have had performances all month. So I am utterly exhausted. These bags could carry quite a lot of suitcases if they were needed to, and more is coming. It is an exciting, wonderful time. It feels more of a straight line than it may seem on the outset, but it's more like poetry, spoken word art, everything that's happening are all things that were worked on for a long time, but I drop them and pick them up and drop them and pick them up. This is the first time I've just stayed the course. And that
Okay.
really is that.
So let me start the interview by asking the question that I ask every artist. You can interpret it however it is you need to interpret it. Why poetry and why now?
That is mentioned in the bio. It was incidentally the thing that made sense. It was the thing that let me speak in a way that actually is how I speak. Anyone who knows me well, including yourself, even Amanda, knows I speak at a million miles a minute. I have lots of ideas that crash into each other, and I speak a lot from the heart. Poetry is one type of writing that allows for that. It lets me express all the ideas I have all at one time. Why now? That I'm going to give to the universe. I did not think this would be the thing. This was a thing to start me just writing again. I think what happened is it gave me the confidence to share more openly and talk about things that I would never have normally talked about. I would have thought they were improper or whatever or inappropriate. I can link directly to yourself. When do I get to lose my shit? I wouldn't allow myself. There are it's even a cultural and political tool thing about like narrow spaces. Where spaces are you allowed to speak in because you are not enough like everyone else, so you're already annoying people or whatever. That's how I was made to feel my entire life. Poetry let me literally kick the door right open in places that I never thought I could. it's revolutionized things for me. So that probably is a now. But it does like to kick my bum in the same time.
I think that's normal for any and every poet that I know. Talk to me about, I hesitate to say the 5-year plan. Let's just say going down the road. What's the big picture for you? Because
Bring
there are
every
people who just want to do the performance. There are people who just want to write. There are people who want to do both. There are people who think there's this, this brief stint in the sun, and then they're going to go off into, HVAC repair or something. I mean, where are you going with this?
I honestly think it is continue putting things back that went away because I didn't think I was the right voice for it. And I say that in every time for the 4 years that this has been a thing. If we take it from the pandemic, and I know it sounds crazy, but it's been clearing on 4 years since that all happened. Or within that point that it started, etc. There were so many things I didn't think I was going to be able to do. Travel to perform, tick. Be paid to travel to perform, tick. Be traveled to go to another country and perform, tick. Make new friends, if make new engagements, try projects I'd never considered. I've even in the last year done theatre producing. I wasn't the world's best at it, but I learned some lots of stuff from it. So what's in the 3 to 5 year plan? Continue. I always wanted to put on a show where I was actually funded. There's some conversations in the background about that at the moment. I've always wanted to meet different creative artists from different fields, particularly video media. 2 to 3 new friends in the YouTube space that I never would have met before. Hopefully, going to physically meet soon. Um, I want to develop a program of spoken words inspired. They're not going to be spoken words specifically because I'm not the biggest fan of that kind of service where it's like, hey, we'll come into schools, kids, and talk about the thing. Ah! No, that's TSE. No, thank you very much. That stuff's awful, and I have bad memories of it myself. What I would like to do is do exploratory workshops where the young person gets a chance to utilize the form to start to break down different discussion points about conflict in their area, help with expressing trauma stuff, all the stuff that we do is a main thing of poetry. I had a little bit of experience of doing that last month with Page to Stage. Have some experience of doing that almost 2 years ago with Luton. Kind of want to bring it together and make a proper pitch because I've never pitched a business to anybody before. So I want stability. This thing has given me better mental health. It's given me the most amazing female friends I've ever had in my entire life, inclusive of your dear sister. Um, it's given me international contacts. What it can't promise yet, which means I need to expand my remit, is full financial security and something I can base things on when things go wrong. That I might need to learn myself. But if I trust the path, which sounds very spiritual, but it's not really, it's more of a kind of trust vagary, which is something I hate doing. Um, this has yet to fail me properly. So I might as well utilize it and take everything else I've learned. Hopefully that helps.
What's the hardest thing that you write about?
Oh, I love that question. Oh, what is the hardest thing I write about? Can I ask for a little clarity? Because two answers came to head immediately. Hardest emotionally to put out or hardest to put into words?
Your interpretation, you tell me.
All right, I'll go with both answers then. So hardest to write about emotionally is anything where I discuss sexual exploitative experiences to which I've had too many in my life. I need to speak about them. I'm forced to speak about them. They're in the book, they're in a lot of things, and they've come up a lot of things. It seems to be something our sisters, and particularly our Tesoro sisters, often share, especially even going to events that we've both been at recently. There is no way of doing that without an emotional tax. And one of the things that I have done a lot recently is talk out about a type of misogyny and misogyny, which is based completely on the art of the masculine looking at the female art project and not seeing her as a human being in the slightest. You know, you get it from Pygmalion, which was kind of My Fair Lady and all the rest of it, to great piece of art and stuff like that. It is the thought unbridled, and I have written directly and directly used it as a fight song against artists who I think are worse than we are, who don't know how to keep their pen in their pants, shall we say. That's never easy. But I like being the
I
brand.
think we need a t-shirt that says that. Keep your pen in
Should we
your
add that to the
pants.
should we add that to the merch list? Yeah. Keep your pen in your pants. I mean, it's in one of the pieces I called. You know this piece very well. You've heard it multiple times. Called "Don't Cage Phoenixes." Exactly that. Singe Your Fingers is all about that because I got really angry at a male artist who took a really nice poem that is central to my set list and his comments were sexualizing. It was like she doesn't even exist. The hell, man! What's wrong with you? Well, I did. I slapped him so hard and continued to do so. Unfortunately, that is a problem because our art form doesn't require editing from somebody else. It doesn't take, you wouldn't get away with that in theatre. You wouldn't get away with that in film. Well, I'm saying that. But when you're talking about someone's own writing, the things that people can say and let their fetish feed right over onto the writing, it's like, no, you're talking about real people. That is emotionally taxing. And telling your story and telling your story and telling your story is emotionally taxing. You don't get away with not having a feeling of that. More difficult in the sense of how to approach it. Anything where there's some invisible lines. I've been talking to Mervyn about this. So Mervyn Seafright and Stacey actually is in combination of both being my biggest mentors, what I call them mum and dad sometimes. Um, there's very little space, more than people think there is, to be a highly successful known poet, the one your mum's heard of, and not have to follow the classical rules. And that is including in saying stuff that's important. If you go for these upper echelon sort of magazines and all the rest of it, or you try and do it for the National Trust and da da da, they will force you into a form of censorship through language. That is a really complex thing. It's why I mentor as many poets as I do across the world, because I think the only way to fight that is to make more poets. When we are such a large brigade that it's like, yeah, so what if Wordsworth said this? And so what if, well, actually, I love Blake, so we're not going to start on Blake. But somebody else said that. Even James Baldwin said this. So I love them. They're good poets I adore. However, you don't
Because by
get to say it's
definition,
one
isn't it a
framing.
poet's job to not listen to those people?
Exactly. Or take inspiration from. But when the people with the pockets are insisting that quintessentially they want somebody who doesn't even live anymore to write the work, you can almost want to ask them why. Um, what framing? And I think the only way to fight that, and that is almost there's two ways. You have to encourage people through the art and sort of like bring the voices to you. And then the opposite side, which is also find their voices and lift them, either by directly putting them in the spotlight like you would, or give also take making reference points so people pay attention. That's the only way to fight that, because as long as they think there's only a couple of artists here and there who are good enough to do this, those voices don't get heard, but also the form never changes. It takes so much work, but if in that 5 to 10 year plan is that, change the expectations. It shouldn't be somebody saying, "Oh, I don't think I'm good enough." Based on what? I didn't think I was good enough. I just did it endlessly for 1 year and then posted about it to a point that I was like, well, eventually I'm gonna have to give in to the fact that that's 20, 50, 60, 100 people telling me, no, this is great. I'm like, hey, you can't beat statistics. Something's got to give. I want to allow those spaces, but they don't exist traditionally, so we're gonna have to make them.
Yeah. So, all of that being said, so now we have a little bit more of a taste of who you are. The mic is yours for the next 30 minutes.
Let's kick it. And I've got a nice mix across the thing. I think as it was referenced, I might as well bring it out. Let's get Singe Your Fingers. 1 second. It makes the most sense to start with after bringing it up. Um, Across all my work and all the pieces I want to share today is all about the fact that actually you have power to fight back using words. Let me just get her up. Oh, you spotlight. Thank you for the spotlight. Right. Actually, you know what? I'll start with this one because I think it's quite a nice one. It's bringing around to what I was saying. Midnight Family, inspired by one of my young people from Luton. Midnight Family. I am a night writer, states my student, explaining his philosophy, his words of consideration elevated in a rhyme scheme. Bad praxis for a teacher to note he is joining a dynasty. of the quiet ones by candlelight, tormented at the end of a daytime by the need to record the words they see, no romance without mythology, a different kind of family. Already his eyes are attuned to the parallels of speech, ears prepared for the juxtapositions in thought, circular nature of memory. Night calls this breed to meditate with inky hands, find the melody in traffic jams or the syncopation in coffee machines. Rare is the night when the mind proves to be silent, often tormented by ideas before slumber brings its peace. I should have used that as more often as a starting piece. We also have a rule, and it's been nabbed by Dear Rule for his show about this particular line of the muse will not lift. And she didn't, so it makes perfect sense to do that one too. This is all about Jen being a bit of a lazy human being. Sunday will begin, whence this poem ends, lavid in hypnosis drawn by torrential rain. The rain is a song to the pavement, both that woke her and cradled her in equal rhythmic comfort, counting hour changes. The overenthusiastic, the overenthusiastic rectangle has become our alarm, our calendar, our letters, our measures, our demon, and our Bible. It hummed every hour on the dot, with partners from various continents resuming project making. Her ASD addled mind craved order. The muse shall not waken. Her curls are filled with delicious daydreams, heartbeat that pulses for one while she recounts her shopping list. The muse will not rouse yet. She is a day ahead mentally, opening the file boxes of her emails, aware of a busy week ahead. The muse turns slowly. The crumpled curls have become diagonal. Mental health work has taught her nothing worthwhile is ever ruined. Panic is for the unprepared. Her hands still smart from childhood of being told to slow down. Sunday is opening for her. Sunday can now begin. Let's do a fun, different one, shall we? I know. One of the things that is the most powerful in life is accepting where you are. I don't get to do this piece often because it's often a bit too long for sort of 3 minute slots. But I really like it because it's proof that you can survive quite a lot more than you think you can. So this is nothing but the rain. If I survive tonight, death is a comedian, as well as a snake oil salesman. He cheated me out of a perfect story, a dinner time opening yarn. Instead, I stand here suffocating cold of the night in torrential autumn. I thought I knew the Grim Reaper by clenched shoulders. Instead of creeping dread cakes my tires, growing the lynching up the deadlight indicators, shrouds of shame hidden in the darkness, another fearful experience, and the rain. Nothing but the rain. Some spirit watching is turned outside and inside in absolute pleasure. Tackling the dust between Halloween and All Saints' Day, the damp sky refused to let people suffer, but yet will let me drown in a lilac blazer. Darkened into an emperor deep tyrant, would there be too much to ask for me to just grab my jacket? Yet I am too poised and too proud, instead just clasped and dappled with frozen raindrops like a careless type of christening. Denied the safety of the faux warmth of an old duffel coat. Trapped in the beige, shiny steel cage, a bric-a-brac protection of my lazily organised car boot. Drummed on from above by the same acidic droplets. A barely audible bass line against the screech velocity of passing cars. Louder than all other surrounding sounds, the heartbeat that's set deep inside this chest. There's nothing, but there's so much rain. The minute hand never moves in Sleeping Beauty hatchback caused by electrical flaw. A drone to the delirium, survival dulling sensibility from the world so outside and indistinct. A room of unawareness is created. Plato's finest cavern, a shadow from inside to out. Yet, hope speaks in a faraway land headlamps. Safety will come soon. My living dreams will mingle with the tall grassroots as two kind professionals comfort me with instructions. Yet all I hear is knowledge, which has always been my safety. And even the scariest moments are truly survivable. It's a piece I'm looking forward to editing more with my publisher because I feel like it can still get cut down a little bit and changed to here and there. But truly, what can you do when you're at the side of a road? There's rain, you can't get to your coat safely, and you just stand realizing as a human being there's quite a lot you can get through if you just continue and continue and continue. And that has been the truth. My darkest moments are often the bits where the poetry just flows. This is a favoured piece that has come up in two magazines. Almost got slotted into a third, but I said, wait a minute, you haven't asked me. You just tried to put it in your magazine. And it was written because I didn't know what to write. The irony is always beautiful. So this is Doubts. The darkening of winter whispers into the ear of harvest children, and I am consumed with the spectre of doubt. He is a fine gentleman, double-breasted coat with silk lapels, and a sneer of contempt enough to cut creases into my forehead. Painstakingly I duet with commonality. His wife, imposter syndrome, claps joyfully from the side seats. He'll pick her up when he's ready. This siren of anxiety sings beautifully into a carbon microphone, her voice extended by the embrace of new technology, for she is the spirit who's grown old. Swept up in a waltz of worries. Progression has been swift and sudden. Now it is a dull throb at my heels, and I feel the ache of waiting, the shame of nothing to report. His smirk is delicious, easy to fall prey to his wishes. As if I stop turning, the stage is his. So I write for the sake of thoughtfulness, and in turn change who leads. His bewilderment is delightful, for by ignoring fate and connecting to the internal fire that burns inside of me, a whole piece was written to spite him. And I walk from the ballroom in victory. That piece has become so stuck in my head that I can almost hear my line ahead of my line, which I'm enjoying. I hope I can do that with the rest because eventually I'll learn them well enough that it'll just be right here. Even with all the intellectualness, and I'm conscious of how many pieces I've got left to hit, I think I'll do three more and we'll cut. There is love here. There is traditional love poetry and feelings and emotions. I keep them hidden for fear that somehow if I put them into air, they will disappear on me. But once I was given a challenge, it seemed very appropriate, almost accidental by the universe, and it did end up in Flora Fiction. This is the most romantic piece I probably have. It's called Let's Fall in Love. I have felt the inches between our hands. The electrical change as we move in unison, fingers caressing the air, prickling heat waves, temperatures rising as a word died on our lips. Galaxies emerge in the depth of a pupil, charting each other's star maps. Our auras are melding, the colours intensify as we give birth to something else. Sunlight turning amber, synchronized to the morning chorus, raindrops tap out your name. Harmonizing gently at the end of a breath, joined in a forgotten lyric. The delicate table tennis, made of half-caught glances, reflecting our growing anticipation. Let's fall in love. We've been descending for just under a decade to gain stability as we fall ever forward, accepting our emotional reality. I hope one day that one does appear as it should do, but I do enjoy it. I'm gonna do this one because it actually was one of Stacey's favourites. It got amended. I don't dislike how it got amended because I feel like it was lacking a little. I think it's stronger now. If the first one with Let's Fall in Love was a real situation, noted. This is what happens with the fantasy. Sweet Serenade. I want a prince who sits under the moon. Guitar in arms, he wistfully moves his fingers upwards, as if he is caressing the breeze between his fingernails. I want a moon that sits with my prince, her ruddy complexion a symbol of her transformation from once elegant Selene to persistent Artemis. I want a guitar that girdles my raw suitor. Its softened mahogany echoes passion, a complement to my medium red oak tone. The stars sing in their harmonies of hopefulness. They rearrange themselves for one night to point towards our enclosed lovers' hands. The score made up of forest breezes, dewdrop perfume mixed with our hormones, the strumming and slowing to an echo. I dream of a prince who sits under a moon as he dreams silently of me twice a twilight dawning, seeing my eyes in passing comments. I dream of a moon that sits by my prince, who, illuminating hidden trails homeward from his most fearful nightmares. I dream of a guitar missing two strings. It waits for his patient touch and repair, like my heart that anticipates his very whispers. I've heard you with sleepy arias across the universe. No words spoken aloud can can aloud claim the vision, a memory or a dream that always returns to him. I like it a little better. You know what? We'll continue down this slightly moving and emotional line with the last two before we bring to an end, and a gratefulness for allowing for a slightly later start and for messings from the universe. So let's do an acceptance poem called So She Is the Storm. The weather knows her name. It speaks with no tongue, only changes in sky overtone. Finding sunshine when she's meant to hope, finding clear crystal moonlight when she needs to pray to open stars. Tonight, thunder rolls over an aching earth. The false promises of emptiness against a rising Fahrenheit, the damp sensation of an indecisive July. So she is the storm. No stars, no galaxies, or grieving moon. Curtains of ice cold precipitation, only release from the hours of perspiration. The burn makes left by Hera borrowing Zeus's audacity. The circle of starting and stopping and dying, repeating and maladaptive automation of her with her phoenix feathers that are her skin. Her king-size bed is a murder scene, saved mercies of a victim to stay anything longer than a week. Violent temper tantrum and treacherous half-filled expectations, dreams that were once window clear and clean. What is the point of a future if it is constrained by the blandness of reality? Her imagination is a drop haze to keep purpose as part of her reality. Oh, so she's the storm. No stars, no galaxies, no grieving mother moon in me. End of pretensions of sanity and self-improvement. The tumult starts and ends in her mind frame, ripping to shreds any hopes of capability. So she's the storm. No stars, no galaxies, no balancing moon celestial body. Ride out into the hinterlands and just give birth to this rounded body. Running an improvisational tongue over well-written and well-sharpened teeth, finding clarity in newborn days. Sanity and sanctity is always grown out of a refreshment of the spiritual soil. Belief exists now, in the today. So, fine, I own it. I am the storm. This piece was so late into the book because it hit me that I needed a piece that said, hey, great, so I'm the problem. Eat me! But it's not a bad thing. And on that, I think it only appropriate to finish with one of my favorite tricks, which is where the pen leaves the hand. Apparently, my microphone swacks me in my face, and I just talk. I recently said this in Margate. If I keep talking, nobody explodes. And it's true. So, in reference to everything we had to do today and the last bit of the weekend, Monster Princess. Princess to Monster. I've got the trick down. It is a set of spiritual, physiological, and chemical reactions that all happen at once. There's certain actions. This cream, that perfume, this dress, that cupboard. Things placed around in what is a milieu of messes. Other people would get crazy, but I know what they are. They are my little temples. Things I can pick from sunglasses to wellies so that I never look completely off game. The blonde catches light in any type of daytime. It was there as an accidental trick system. Then someone dared me to keep it, so I did. The eyebrows are fake. The eyelashes aren't. The lip gloss brand new from Superdrug. £2 off. What it takes to become from hag, which I've been called 3 times recently on Instagram by people I'm not entirely sure are old enough to have an Instagram. And beauty by a person who I want to connect with, who for no relationship things, but somebody who's becoming a dear friend quickly in a space one step ahead of me. I can reach out to him and say, hey, do you want to see something cool? And he responds. This is the Monster Ball. The rules that tied down Cinderella are absolutely stupid, and I don't like that story. I'm a little bit more towards Red Riding Hood. Asked my mum, which I could recite easily. I never liked the idea that you had to struggle and struggle and struggle until somebody was magic. You build your own fairy wand, babies. And most of the time, they will call you a witch for it. They will call you monster because you dared to grow a belly. They will call you insignificant for the lines that you keep under your eyes that tell you the story of your tree times because you were here long enough to make tree lines. They will tell you that the mud and the soil that you grew from was not adequate because you didn't come out as a primrose. You came out as ivy. They will tell you that the fur that stands upon your knuckles that helps keep your hands warm where they have to wear elegant gloves are not good enough. And they're wrong, and they're wrong, and they're wrong. I never quite understood the song. I never knew why I had to be prissy. All I could see was stuff that would hold me back. I was the same girl as anybody and would spin around in sparkly skirts because I liked the feel of circular motion. I guess I wanted to be a whirling dervish, not Disney. These are the things that I keep noticing. And again, now as an aunt to 2 wonderful nieces, put her in some sparkles and she will cover it in mud. Give her some mud and she will find sparkles. These natures are not different, and it's delineated by those in the ancient well, not even that ancient, 18th century castle communities who wrote gorgeous fairy stories for 50 years before they lost their heads. Why do we let them define what is beautiful? My front light is a torch that will lift and use the same technology that you would use to make Cameron Diaz look like an angel. This is art based on technology. All wonder and psychology is. They are frameworks that we have taken from elderly women, kept, recycled, and put in medical booklets, only to return to ourselves so very quickly when those same women are now on TikTok talking. You can't break the historical cycle. You can define people by your anxieties, but you will fail them because this monster ball is going, baby. And what I have learnt in this art form that is ours is one, there is room for everybody. Any voice, any time, any history. Some of the most successful women and most beautiful women I know in our art form must sleep for 3 days like Sleeping Beauty because of their health needs. And they balance and burn out and balance and burn out. But I tell you what, the pictures, they look sensational. And I can name them. And so can anyone in our team. Number two, it is not gendered. And those who try and place gender upon it unless they're talking of their own body and their own experiences, will fail miserably. They will create flat art because in those in-between spaces in which we find ourselves and decide what our version of humanity and beauty is, some of the most gorgeous odes that exist. Some of the most frankly fantastic artists in our field in the UK right now look nothing like Cameron Diaz or Elon Musk. They cover every other part of humanity. Why I get drawn. Number three, it is complicated and there's no straight line. Anyone who asks me across time, I had it on Instagram yesterday, how did you get to this? What do I need to do? I can't tell you your story. You're in a different community, you're in a different culture. If you try and copy me, you will fail. This monster framing is for one, the dress barely fits anymore. Don't copy me. You will fail. Find your own and struggle forward. Lean on everything you ever took forward. If you were a teacher in primary, use it. If you're an engineer, use it. If you've not had a job for 15 years, use it. Because theatre has returned, and I am talking to my actors in a different esteem, better treated now as their contemporary than I ever was as their boss. Don't copy me. Point four, feel the right to be gorgeous. Oh, if you are given the microphone, do not run from it. Step forward, rechange. As happened last weekend, realize that the quickest way to fix the costume is to turn what looked like pajamas into a halter neck. Truly. Use all the tricks you know, all the pins and clips behind. They can't see behind you. The lighting designer can. Be out, loud and forward. Wear the necklace you never wear. Because trust me, it will glint in the light that is put upon you for them to catch the camera screen. And suddenly you see you, your princess. And you made your own carriage and used your knuckles to get yourself to that ballroom. And you'll look sensational. Rule five, stories are meant to change. It is meant and has been since the days we put our hands across the wall to make intricate pictures of animals, a story that other hands take forward. We have this problem of creating deity out of storylines. Every single writer in history was a little bit up. Trust me, I've done the reading. They were sad, they were forlorn, they worried about how much they had to eat. Some of our greatest philosophers, the ones we call regularly, from Sophocles to well, not Oedipus, he's a person, to Socrates, were young men in war. That is what they keep together. From east to west, to north to south, they just survived their comrades and decided to write about it. That's what they share. We're ready. So be part of your story in your political atmosphere and speak to it. Talk about the people missing, because that's what our philosophers did, and our medicine women. You want to know how I made this thing? Trying to learn to live out in the world again. A world that had rejected and rejected and rejected me in millions of ways until I made my own rules. And now it's flipped on me, and suddenly I'm looked towards to make the rules. So I am now the host of the parties. And like the monster ball that I am still struggling on forward. Time zone slightly off. Things are slightly a mess. But give me 3 minutes and I will get on that stage and perform for you. Because that is true to my heart and who I am. And right now I feel pride that a sister that I want to connect with more because she is half a world away from me, and a sister who's given me opportunity who's half a world away from me are in the same room as me. So take this. You are monster, you are dragon, you are knight, you are hero, you are princess, you are the ballroom. The story is yours, so make it. And on that, I bring us to it. Happy, happy, happy Sunday. The end.
I think I love that more than anything I've ever heard you do.
And I just
Bravo,
made it up.
darling. Um, for the folks who are going to be seeing this on our YouTube channel, if you want to know more about this lady, if you want to know more about Tesoro, you can go to www.firesingers.com. The Aperitif concerts are part of an ongoing series. We do these all year long. That being said, our season will end November the 20th or thereabouts. And then we come back after Christmas because people just have too much to do. Second week in January. So thank you, Genevieve, for
Pleasure.
coming by and torching the mic. We might not have any mics left after that one. We may have to rebuild. Um,
Love you.
Especially considering what went on today. I'm not even going to mess with good night, good morning, good afternoon. We're not dealing with seasons of the day anymore. Just have a fantastic whatever is left of the time space that you're inhabiting rather. And we will see you somewhere around the block. Thanks everybody so much. Bye-bye.
Thanks for being there. Take care.